What is going on, everybody, and welcome back to the channel. This is Orioles Today, and as always, I am Sean Ferguson here for episode number 40 of the channel. It has gone by in a flash, but I want to say thank you again so much to everyone who continues to watch these episodes here on the channel. It is because of you guys that this channel continues to grow as fast as it is. Thank you so much for all the love and support it continues to gather. And today we are going to finish up the 12 days of Christmas. So if you are a fan of this episode, please throw 12 drummers drumming at the like button. And if you're a fan of this content, please subscribe. Get yourself daily notifications for all of these daily video drops covering all things the Baltimore Orioles. Getting right into it, I want to start off with talking a little bit now as the winter meetings are a few days past. Just how busy the Orioles continue to be this offseason, especially down in Florida. Down in Orlando, where the winter meetings were, which the winter meetings did conclude on Wednesday with the Rule 5 draft. And for a third straight year, the Orioles did not select a player in the Rule 5 draft after going from 06 through 2022 with selecting players. The O's continue to keep to Mike Elias's philosophy of win now. They are very happy with where their 40-man roster is, because if they selected a player in the Rule 5 draft, they would have to stay on the 40-man all year or be in danger of going back to the team that we selected them from. So the O's are very happy with where their 40-man is, and they're very happy with where their farm system is. And even if they do go the route of trading away some farm pieces or even a couple on the 40-man right now to acquire starting pitching, all indicators are they are very okay with where they're at, even after said additions. So it's a good place where the O's are right now from all the reports that are coming out. I mean, you can just look at it. The farm system is looking better, and the holes that the Orioles continue to address, it's only for the better. They needed outfield bat, they got it. They needed a closing pitcher, they got it. And they were very adamant on getting a first base bat, and they got one of the better ones out there. So things are looking good right now, and knock on wood as I say that, but things are looking good heading into 2026. Hopefully the Orioles are not going to stop, and they are going to add that starting pitching that they desperately need, and we will see what happens over the next couple of weeks. And it was a busy couple of days. We'll see if that continues here over the next couple of weeks. And again, the Orioles did not select a player in the 40-man draft. They did lose a player and pitcher, Carter Baumler, to the Pittsburgh Pirates, who then was almost immediately traded over to the Texas Rangers. The Rangers gave up a fellow prospect pitcher and Yaiker Garcia along with some cash. But Baumler, picked by the Pirates, traded over to the Rangers. Baumler was a 5th-round pick of the Orioles back in 2020. He had a decent year last year, but has just constantly dealt with injuries since he was drafted by the Orioles, and most likely why the Orioles did not protect him along with the others that they did before that period ended, where they had to protect players and add them to the 40-man or be in danger of being selected in this draft. But they decide not to protect Baumler. He's about to turn 24 years old. He's still young. Last year he went 2-0 with a 2.04 ERA and had a couple of saves, and that was on 3 different levels, with the highest he reached was AA. But again, the injuries have continued to pile up for him, so that makes sense of why the Orioles decided not to protect him. And the Pirates take him, and they trade him over to the Texas Rangers. And Justin Armbruster, he was selected out of the minor league portion of the Rule 5 draft, and he's another one that continues to deal with injuries. And so those two players, but with Baumler being the only one taken, who will now be added to the Texas Rangers 40-man roster. And so that was the Rule 5 draft that finished up on Wednesday, and that is the only thing that came out Orioles side. Again, they didn't select anyone, but they lost to those 2 players, Baumler being the one of more note. And with everything that was happening down in Orlando in these winter meetings, the rumblings came out, of course, that the Orioles were big time after Schwarber. They offered him the same deal that the Phillies offered him, and he eventually took. They went right after Pete Alonso and were able to get him 5 years, $155 million. And that wasn't it. The Orioles were apparently talked to Kyle Tucker. They in on Cody Bellinger. And I'm sure that with all of that being said, with talking to those guys that, and after signing Pete Alonso, that the Orioles most likely are out of the sweepstakes of Kyle Tucker and Bellinger, but you never know. I didn't expect him to pursue Alonso as hard. I didn't expect them to pursue the top 2 free agent first baseman as much as they did, and they did. So Elias continues to surprise me, and I said I believe it when I see it, and I'm starting to believe. I didn't. It's a weird phase of the Orioles signing big name free agents to multi-year deals and guys that you're okay with signing, and acquiring Taylor Ward. It was okay. That was the first step, and then Ryan Helsley was not the top free agent closing pitcher out there, but he was one of the better ones to get him. Pete Alonso was one of the top free agent first baseman, and they were able to get him. And I mean, the Orioles continuing to surprise me. And the fact that they were even talking to Kyle Tucker and Cody Bellinger, that says a lot too. So the O's stayed busy down in Orlando, and it seems that Mike Elias was not leaving until he got an area of need. And in his eyes, first base was a need. And what does that say now about the two guys that are still there right now, and Ryan Mountcastle and Coby Mayo? As I've been saying, I don't expect Mountcastle to be on the team in 2026, and that seems to be the case. If he is packaged up in a deal for someone, we will see. But now more and more talks are coming out that Coby Mayo could be sent away as well. And I know, especially on this channel, I've seen a lot of comments, and I've taken a little heat from it as well, about sending Coby Mayo elsewhere. And I've said, if either one of the two have to be sent, it should be Mountcastle. Coby Mayo, younger, and he has a lot of upside. But now reports are coming out. I get it. It's Pete Alonso's base now, and his position. What are they going to do with both of them? And now there is a possibility that you lose them both. And when I say lose them both, it's sending them elsewhere for a trade to bring in someone that you could help on the starting pitching end. Now, I don't think you should send a Coby Mayo for an Edward Cabrera, which we'll talk about here in the next topic. But because I do believe if you do decide to send Coby Mayo elsewhere, you could get more for him. And I am still I would like to keep Coby Mayo on the team, and I understand sending Ryan Mountcastle elsewhere. It's even more crowded at that position now, but that is Pete Alonso's position. You could keep Coby Mayo there and, have him there to learn from Alonso and continue to grow at the position and grow as a big leaguer. We'll see if that happens, but right now a lot is coming out that it's most likely going to be both men are sent elsewhere, packaged together, packaged separately, I don't know, but that is seeming to be the case to add in a trade for a starting pitcher. And talking about Pete Alonso's deal again, 5 years, $155 million. And I talked about yesterday, this is the second biggest contract that the Orioles given out since they gave Chris Davis that massive $161 million contract. It's the biggest contract they've given out since to a non-Oriole, a free agent that wasn't already an Oriole, since Miguel Tejada. So it's been a while since the Orioles have made a move like this. It's $31 million per season, the highest annual to a first baseman. And looking more into this, there will be no deferrals on this. So unlike Chris Davis's contract that almost runs through, I feel like 2040, the Pete Alonso deal with this new ownership, they said, nope, it's a 5-year deal. Let's spend it in 5 years. So $31 million over 5 years. It's what it's looking like. No deferrals. And you know what you're getting in this guy. You already got the big power bat in Taylor Ward, and you get a guy who's even more proven in Pete Alonso. He had 53 home runs in his rookie season back in 2019, and he's hit at least 34 over the last 5 years. And he's only 31 years old. He's young. So this contract's going to run through age 36. And he's also one of those guys that I was cool with. I would have been okay with Schwarber just because of how powerful that bat is. But Alonso is younger, and he is more consistent at the plate when it comes to contact. He's very good at driving in runs with doubles, very good at hitting doubles as well as home runs. And his strikeout rate is around 22.8%, which is around average. I wouldn't say average. I would say I've seen a lot of it's in an acceptable range, which I'm cool with that as well. Over his career, he's a 253 hitter. He hit in the 270s last year. So when I say he's very good at contact, if it's not just home runs, Schwarber it's almost you die by the home run ball, and he strikes out a lot, and his average is going to be lower. And Alonso is going to do his fair share of striking out, but he's going to make more contact with the ball too. Even if it's not home runs, he's going to get more as well. Again, very good at driving in runs on doubles, and he is a guy that I feel like that's why the Orioles are very comfortable with. They're very comfortable with the fact of we're okay with paying this guy $155 million because, yes, we need that big power bat and that dependability in the middle of that lineup. But you know that you're going to get a good amount of home runs, but you're going to get a consistent bat. And that is something the Orioles they need badly. And it's also one of those things that you're hopeful that the other positions and the other players, they can kind of feed off that. And that might be a turnaround thing. You get two bats now that had over 70 home runs combined last year. And that's huge. That is absolutely huge, considering they're still both fairly young. And that's going to be a massive impact. And I know that Jeff Passan came out and said this Orioles lineup looks like one of the best in the league right now. And who knows if they're going to continue to add to it. It's still early on. They have not played a game together yet. Anything can happen. But the way it's shaping up right now, it's looking good. And I'm very excited with the consistency that the Orioles are going to get with Pete Alonso as well. The power is awesome, but just a consistent bat means a lot. So you're seeing a little more come out of that contract again, like I just touched on. It's not deferred. It's a fairly large contract when it comes to the Orioles franchise history and when it comes to annual money for a first baseman. And it means a lot for the other two guys in Castle and Mayo, but a lot of that's going to get settled over the next couple of weeks. I do believe that you're going to see some trades happen. If not another free agent signing, Elias said he has payroll for 2 big splashes. He just made one with Alonso. Is the next one going to be a starting pitcher? We can sure hope so. But when it comes to trades and staying busy at those meetings down in Orlando, another name that came out was the Orioles big on Edward Cabrera from the Marlins. You guys know how I feel about him. You know, if you're looking at a Marlins pitcher, why not Alcantara? And if you're going to trade for a pitcher and give up a good amount for him, I would love rather to see the Orioles go after the likes of a Mackenzie Gore from Washington, or still even a Joe Ryan, if that's a possibility, from Minnesota. You know, the reports came out that they're most likely going to keep those guys. With the likes of a Joe Ryan and a Byron Buxton down in Minnesota. So you kind of turn your attention to the possibility of Mackenzie Gore or Alcantara. But the Orioles are looking at Edward Cabrera. He would not be a front-end guy. He could be potentially, if he is able to work on a few things. Still young, and injuries is another thing that you worry about with him that we talked about, his elbow. What is 2026 going to look like for him right now? Everything's showing that he is going to play, but I'd much rather go after someone else that is a little more proven. And yes, he has a ton of potential, and he was decent last year when he pitched. But again, if you're looking for a front-end guy, I wouldn't say he's a front-end guy. He could possibly be that in the long run, but he is a guy with 3 years of team control. So yes, if you're playing that way, I would be okay with a trade as long as there's another one, I would say, because I believe if you go after a trade for Cabrera, you're not going to have to give up a ton to get him. And that could be you give up a farm piece and then maybe a Ryan Mountcastle. And if you're going to go after a guy like a Mackenzie Gore, you could package Coby Mayo in there if you want. And I know a lot of you don't want to see Coby Mayo go, but at this point you have Pete Alonso, so it would make a lot of sense if that move happened. But right now the O's apparently are still in talks with the Marlins for an Edward Cabrera trade. The O's have been very busy and very talkative, so I'm sure there's more than just that. Again, we already touched on that the Orioles have been in touch with the Nationals for Mackenzie Gore. The Orioles and Nationals have never made a trade together. That would be the first, and that would be an absolutely massive one. And we will see what happens. We're going to continue to look at to see how aggressive the Orioles are in the trade market for a starting pitcher. Again, Edward Cabrera is the one that they are more vocal about, and more of the reports are coming out, or that even after the winter meetings, the O's are still in contact with Miami about Cabrera. And one free agent name the Orioles are also still very interested in from all the reports that are coming out, that is Framber Valdez, which I am okay with. That would be the second of the 2 big splashes that Elias talked about, and I would be all for that. If the Orioles can go in to an offseason and snag Pete Alonso and Framber Valdez to address a starting pitching need and a first base need, as they eyed it, as they were not completely satisfied with where they were with Mountcastle and Mayo. And if they were able to get Alonso, let's do it. And that's what happened. So they already got one of the two. Alonso's there, and Valdez, apparently the Orioles are still in on. But yes, the Orioles were able to outbid a few to acquire Pete Alonso, and there is definitely going to be a bidding war for a lot of these starting pitchers that are still free agents, Valdez being one of them, if not the most sought after, besides Amai coming over from Japan, which the Orioles are still right now have their hats in the ring for. So a lot of talk still going on. The Orioles are not done this offseason. They are still being very aggressive when it comes to addressing needs, and this is one of the most aggressive off seasons I've seen from the Orioles in a very long time. and they're actually addressing needs with guys that can make a difference in year one, not down the road, not maybe, guys that will make a difference. And as an Orioles fan, a diehard Orioles fan, I'm so happy to see it. Still in shock that the Orioles actually pulled the trigger and acquired Pete Alonso. Was such a big deal. And this lineup is looking better and better the more I look at it. And we'll, again, like I just said, we'll see if the Orioles continue to add to it, and we will see what happens with the starting pitching side of things. We will see what the next big splash the Orioles are going to make. Hopefully it is a free agent starting pitcher, and we will see what trades the Orioles decide to make as well with this farm system and possibly with a Mountcastle or Mayo. But guys, thank you so much for tuning in to the channel and to this latest episode here on the channel, episode number 40. If you guys are a fan of today's episode, please throw 12 drummers drumming at the like button. And if you are a fan of this content, please subscribe. Get yourself daily notifications for all of these daily video drops covering all things the Baltimore Orioles. Guys, continue to stay tuned to the channel. Keep bouncing in and checking in what is happening around the league and around with your Baltimore Orioles. A lot is going on. This offseason is still heavily underway, and I'm really excited to continue to cover it for you guys. So again, guys, this is Orioles Today. I am Sean Ferguson, and let's go O's.